The Eagle, Alfred Lord Tennyson. Now, before I explain this poem, I need all my students to read the poem first. Okay, and always have your anthology and a notebook with you so that you can jot down notes or write down notes whenever needed, right? First, you may pause this video now. Okay, video or audio, whichever format you have, you got, you may pause it and start reading the poem, because most of the students, they don't read it. They don't read the poem, they wait for the teachers to read it, and they wait for the teachers to explain the poem. It's not good. You have to read the poem, and you may come across new words. You can underline the words, you can search the meaning. Okay, don't wait for the teachers to give out the meanings even. Okay, you have to start learning the meanings of such words. But don't worry, here I will give out the meanings for such difficult words, don't worry. Right. Anyways, first and foremost, the most important thing that you have to do is to read the poem thoroughly and try your level best to appreciate it. Okay. Don't wait for the teachers to give you the appreciation or the analysis. Okay. You have to try to read the poem first and then analyze yourself. Okay. And yes, most of the time you may make mistakes. You may not understand what the poet or poetess are trying to say. And that's why teachers are here. We are here to help you and guide you. However, as I told you, try your level best to appreciate the poem that you are reading. Right. Now I am going to explain this poem step by step. First, I am going to recite the poem, of course. Obviously, I am going to recite the poem and give you the summary of the poem. Okay, I am going to summarize the poem in the beginning itself, right? Then poetic devices, poetic techniques, literary devices. We are going to discuss those things, which are very important. In even in your exams, this is how they will ask questions. They will use these words: poetic devices, literary techniques, poetic techniques. Okay, you should know that, know these things. Now, before going into the poem, this is a very short poem. This is a short poem written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, but it's a really good poem to start your literature course. Whether you are doing for 2 years or 3 years, from grade 10 to 11, GC O level exams. If you are starting, this is a very good poem because it's short, easy to read, and easy to understand. The techniques, there are a lot of techniques that you can learn in the beginning itself. In 2 years time, you will be thorough with such techniques. With these techniques, you will be thorough with it. And yeah, for all the other poems that follows, you may need to know these techniques to understand those poems that will follow. And then the analysis, of course, the poem's appreciation or the analysis or explanation. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is read the poem with the summary, and then we are going to discuss the poetic techniques, literary devices, and finally the analysis. Also in between I may discuss about the structure of the poem. Right, poem and the summary. The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. He claps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands, the wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. Right, my voice is not pretty. You guys may read way nicer, prettier than me. Okay, so try to recite it in a pleasing manner. Right then, the summary. Okay, if I am going too fast, you can always pause the video or audio, whichever format you get. Right. The poem has a very simple concept. Okay, it's very simple. It focuses on one eagle alone in the wild. In the first line, the eagle is atop a mountain, poised to strike. That means waiting to strike at something. He is high up where no other animal or human can go, unreachable. He is alone with the sun and the bright blue sky forming the perfect background scenery. Right, so you can understand a pleasant visual imagery is brought out in the first stanza itself. Right. That part we will learn in the analysis, right? Now, the second stanza shows the only action of the eagle. The first and second line show that as he watches from his high perch, the sea moves below him. Then, in the final line, the eagle makes a grand dive towards the sea. The poem ends here, with the reader not quite sure why the eagle dived off his mountain roots. A simple summary, isn't it? Easy to read, easy to understand. Always you can pause the audio or video and then you can go back, rewind, go back and read it again. Sorry, listen to it again. Don't worry about writing it down. I will give the notes. Okay. Now, let's jump into the techniques, poetic techniques. Okay. Now, as the literature students, if you are in grade 11, you may have already guessed some poetic techniques, right? The first technique that comes to your mind may be, of course, alliteration. Why? In the first verse itself, he claps the crag with crooked hands. Claps the crag with crooked hands. That is alliteration. Any initial sounds repeated is called alliteration. But before that, he. Now you have to understand this. See, an eagle, the pronoun given to an eagle, an animal or a bird, is it. But here it's mentioned as he. So the eagle is personified. Personification is the technique used there. So two techniques. What? Personification, alliteration, and also of course imagery, visual imagery. Now let's go to the second verse. Okay. Close to the sun in lonely lands. Of course, there are some techniques here also. One is of course imagery, visual imagery. You can find throughout the poems. But close to the sun in lonely lands. Now see, the technique which was used in the first verse is also repeated here. Lonely lands. Can you guess the technique? Poetic device. Yeah, of course you can. Lonely lands. Alliteration is repeated, right? Good. Now you can divide this verse. It's very nice. Closed to the sun. Put a hash mark, or divide it from there and divide into two. Close to the sun. What do you understand by this? Close to the sun. Can anyone or anything live near to the sun? No. So there is a technique mentioned there, exaggeration. Exaggeration, or you can say hyperbole. 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 That technique is also used here. Exaggeration is also correct, or you can even say overstatement. All these three terms are correct. You can say either. In exams, if they ask, oh, what is the literary device used in this verse? Easy. Close to the sun, of course. If they quote close to the sun, what is the literary device here mentioned here? You can say exaggeration, hyperbole, or overstatement. One of those. Still, you'll get good marks. Lonely lands, alliteration. Now, these words, lonely lands, even though there is a technique like alliteration, you can take these words as a metaphor also. Lonely lands, it's the place where the bird lives. Okay, the eagle lives. Right. The next verse, ringed with the azure world he stands, filled with techniques, poetic technique. He, personified. Okay, personification. The eagle is personified here. He stands. Okay, ringed with the azure world. Now this is a metaphor. Azure world is the deep blue sky. Okay, which you find when there are no clouds. Okay, azure world is the deep blue sky. So it also, again, it shows how high the bird is living in a top of a mountain. Okay, the high altitude, you can visually imagine, or you can understand how high the bird is where it's living. Okay, so he claps the crag with crooked hands, personification. What else? Personified in two places, he and hands. Okay, because hands, we don't say hands for the birds, we say claws, not hands. So they are again personified. He claps the crag with crooked hand. Alliteration, sound technique. Okay, alliterations. And you can also find assonance, claps, crag, and hands. So whenever you find these assonance means actually the vowel sounds whenever it's repeated. Okay, not in the beginning of a word. If in the middle of a word, it's called assonance. Okay. Also there is a technique called consonance, which is another sound technique. Okay, you can always pause the again and again. I'm saying this. You can always pause the video or audio. You can rewind and listen to what I said previously. Right. Anyway, he claps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun, in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. Don't worry about the analysis, we will come to that later. Now, our main target is to learn the poetic techniques, okay, literary devices. Right. Right. Now, I'll give you out this meaning, ringed. So, ringed means surrounded, okay, the surroundings, the atmosphere, the surrounding of the bird. Okay, right. The next stanza. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. This is a very nice verse. I really like this verse. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. In the appreciation or the analysis, we can study that. Right. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. Of course, sea is personified because sea, the waves, actually, this is, you can take this also as a metaphor. Wrinkled sea, they're actually waves. Okay, not the sea. Of course, it's the sea, but it's the waves. On a from a mountain, if you look down at the sea, it will look like something wrinkled. Okay, the waves actually. If you look at the waves, it looked wrinkled. That's what it says. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. Again, personification and also a metaphor. Wrinkled sea can be taken as the waves of a sea. Right. The next verse. Have I missed anything? The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. No, him is actually the personification there. Crawls. Again personified. The sea is personified here. Okay, him is actually the eagle. Crawls. Who is crawling? Crawl. What do you mean by crawls? Crawling. Baby crawls. Okay, moving slowly, right? Crawls means moving slowly, but here actually moving slowly in fear. Right. Later on, I will explain what that is. He watches from his mountain walls. Again, personification is there, and his is again personified. But mountain walls, one of your favorite techniques, mountain walls, metaphor. Okay, what do you think the mountain walls is? Of course, we are going to discuss this in analysis, but I'll give a hint here. Mountain walls. What do you have? No walls. What are the things that you find where you find walls? Building. Okay, right. Now the next verse. And like a thunderbolt, he falls. Okay, and like a thunderbolt, he falls. Everybody's favorite technique is mentioned here because it's easy to identify. Like a thunderbolt. Like, if there is a metaphor with the words like or as, it's a simile. Okay, everybody likes that technique because it's easy to identify. And like a thunderbolt, he falls. Again, birds don't fall, they fly. But here they have mentioned, he has mentioned it as falls because he's coming fast, to catch something, to catch a prey. Like, right. So, and like a thunderbolt, he falls. Again, simile is mentioned there. Again, personification. Okay, so the bird is personified, given a human attribute or quality. Right. Another technique that you can find in the last verse of this poem, and like a thunderbolt he falls, is the auditory imagery. Okay. So visual imagery, you find it in this poem, and auditory imagery. You can simply say imagery. Okay. A pleasant, powerful imagery is brought out in this poem. When you write in essays, you can use that term. Okay. So visual imagery and even auditory imagery is mentioned by that word thunderbolt. Remember, thunderbolt is a lightning that comes with a thunder that strikes something. That's called a thunderbolt. It's not just a thunder or a lightning. It's both, or both together. Thunder, a lightning with the sound of a thunder that strikes something. Okay, so you can understand that the bird is actually diving into the sea to catch a prey. Right. And some other general techniques used in this poem, you can say climax. There is a start to the poem, and there is an end to the poem, and what the eagle does finally. Okay, so there is a climax in this poem. Any other general techniques? Visual imagery, of course, I have repeated that several times. And rhyme scheme, it's not actually a technique, but rhyme scheme, you can find this rhyme scheme: hands, land, stands, crawls, walls, falls, a b b b. Okay, so that's the rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme is really important. Even though you don't get questions nowadays in your exam papers, still you should know what a rhyme scheme is. Okay, later on, if you want, I may do a video or a audio clip explaining the rhyme scheme, explaining all these poetic techniques individually. And the form of the poem, you can say it as a descriptive poem and also a narrative poem. It's actually a narration about a bird. It's describing about the bird's environment, where it lives, and also about the narration, what it's going to do, why is it there, and what's it looking at, and why is it coming down, uh, all that. And additionally, I have to say this: the poem is divided into two stanzas, three verses each. Okay, so three verses, a stanza with three verses is called a tercet. Okay, don't get confused in the exams. They may use these words, tercet. Okay, so you should know what tercets are: quatrain, tercet, cinquain, all these you should know. Sestet, septet, and also octave. Okay, even a sonnet. You should know all these terms. Okay, so this poem is written in three verses. Three verses in one stanza. So it's called a tercet. So you find two tercets. Right, good. That's the techniques or literary devices, poetic devices or literary devices mentioned in this poem, The Eagle. Okay, a general technique used here is, the exaggeration or the hyperbole. Okay, it's overstated. The eagle is actually exaggerated in this case. Why, you will know in the analysis. Okay. Now, let's analyze the poem. Right, before analyzing the poem, I want you guys to visually imagine an eagle. How does it look? How majestic it looks? How colossal it is? How big it is? Okay, it's not a normal bird. It's huge compared to other birds. And if you see an eagle, most of the time it will live alone. It hunts alone. It's a predator, but it's always alone. What else can you guess about the eagle? What comes to your mind? Speed, good. Strength, good. Agility, very good. Right? And something royal, right? Regal, something royal. Eagle is like a queen or a king. Okay, it's like the if for the animals, if it's the lion, for the birds, it's the eagle. So eagle is the king or queen of. Now, one thing that you students can do is to read about eagle, not about the poem, an eagle, about eagle. Okay, so it will help in your essays. Right, now we will get into the analysis. Right, The Eagle is one of Tennyson's shortest poems. It is composed of only two stanzas with three lines each, tercets. We discussed this before. However, it is full of figurative language and deeper meaning. Right, this is important. This is where the poem gets interesting. Figurative language. What do you know? What do you think this figurative language is? Right, figurative language means metaphorical, not literal. Okay, usage of metaphor or the nature of or involving a figure of speech. So that's called figurative language. So this poem can be analyzed in two different ways. On one level, the poem could be read as an actual depiction of an eagle, exaggerated to bring out some of its distinct qualities. Some of the qualities we discussed before also. When I was talking about the summary, we discussed things. What are those distinct qualities? Sharp vision, strength, agility, and of course, speed. This idea in the poem is quite simple to understand, right? When you read it, you may. On another level, this poem can be read as a commentary on supreme power and what it might be to possess such power. If you have such power, how would it feel? So remember, the eagle is taken as a symbol of power. It could be the power of nature, it could be the power of the eagle itself, or it could be the power of a king or a ruler or a dictator. Now, why do I say it could be the power of a king? How did I come to that conclusion? Right? Right. Well, the personification device used in the poem, for example, the pronoun he instead of it. For the bird, for the eagle, we are saying he instead of it. Personifying the bird gives a clue or a hint that the eagle could be a symbol or metaphor for a king. And also, the term crooked, you may have come across that word crooked in the first verse itself, could be to imply that in general kings are corrupted. Okay, the kings in the history, when you turn the history pages, you will know that kings, most of these kings are corrupted, dishonest people. Additionally, remember Tennyson lived during Queen Victoria's reign in England. He lived from 1809 to 1892, 83 years. Okay, right. And now we are going to analyze the poem verse by verse or stanza by stanza. This is a short poem, so let's do by stanzas. Now, this time while you are reading, compare the eagle with a powerful king. I'm going to read the poem for you. Just read along with me. He claps the crag with crooked hands. What does clasp mean? Clasp. Clasp means hold tightly, holding tightly, or firm grip, a firm grip. Right? If you are holding tightly to your chairs or something, then you can say clasp. Okay. So the bird is actually holding the crag tightly, okay, with its claws. But the bird is personified, that's why we say hands. In this poem, it's mentioned as hands. Actually, for a bird, we should say claws, not hands. So, if we are to compare the eagle to a king in this verse, the king is actually holding the throne tightly. Okay, just like the eagle is holding the crag tightly. So, what is the king doing? He is holding the throne tightly. Why is he holding tightly? Maybe he is safeguarding his kingdom from other kings who may invade his territory. They may capture his kingdom. That is why he is holding his throne tightly. And the next two verses, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. Right. Now, where is the eagle according to the stanza? Right? According to the stanza, the eagle is in a high elevated position, a high altitude, surrounded with the blue sky, azure world. Azure world is the blue sky. Azure world is actually a metaphor for the blue sky. These two verses also show the beauty of the nature. Don't forget. So, if you compare, where is the king? He is seated in a throne above all of his subjects, people or courtiers, people who are living in the palace. And even the queen and ministers have to sit a step beneath him. They can't sit equally to the king. What does this show? Remember, the eagle is alone, all by itself, living in a high altitude. Okay, it has the power. No one can reach that place. Okay, just like that, if you compare it to a king, the king is also living or staying in a high altitude. What does it show? This shows the authoritative power, a supreme power of a ruler. Now, by ruler, I don't mean only a king, okay? It can be the nature, Mother Nature. Nature is also depicted as a mighty power here. Remember that point because this poem is basically it's about nature. It comes under the nature category. Good. Now let's appreciate the second stanza. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. I told you before that this is one of my favorite verses because it shows the absolute power of the eagle or nature or a king. So, from a mountain top, if you look down at the sea, it will look wrinkled, right? Those are actually the waves. Also remember the word crawls means to move slowly. You can pause the video or audio and you can write down these meanings. Okay, crawls means to move slowly. But in this case, here in this poem, the meaning is actually to move slowly in fear. Now I have a question for all of you. Which is bigger, the sea or the eagle? Clearly, the sea is bigger, right? But in this poem, even the mighty sea is crawling in fear beneath the eagle. Did you notice the exaggeration used in this verse? Hyperbole. Why? Why is it exaggerated? To show the power of the eagle, also the nature. Or if you are comparing to the king, the power of the king. The ingenious of Alfred Lord Tennyson reflects through this verse. He's a genius. And again, the comparison. If you compare the eagle with the king here, you will realize that all the subjects beneath or under the king are powerless. Why? Because they are crawling in fear. And only the sole king has power. He has got absolute power. Right. The last two verses shows the actions. It actually shows the actions of the mighty eagle. Right? Mountain walls is the nest or home of the bird. It's actually a metaphor, mountain walls. Thunderbolt is the lightning that comes at the same time as the noise of thunder that strikes or hits something. Right, these are the terms used in these verses. So you can pause the audio or video and write it down. Right. Now, this verse, the last part, the thunderbolt, okay, it shows the speed of the eagle. It's also a great quality of the eagle. Why does it fall like a thunderbolt? That's a question. Why does it fall like a thunderbolt? You can guess it and you can answer the question. Why? To catch a prey. What is a prey? P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. P-R-E-Y. Prey is the food for a predator. Now, eagle is a predator. It hunts other animals. Okay, as a means of living, provisions for its provisions. Maybe a fat, delicious fish. Okay, where is it diving? Diving to the sea to catch a fish. But if you compare with a king, okay, let's compare the eagle with the king, especially for the last two verses. The last verse, especially for the last verse in the poem could suggest two different things. Okay, it can suggest two different things. What are they? First, when the king strikes, okay, he can do great damage to his subjects, just like the eagle. Eagle is falling to catch a prey. Okay, it's striking like a thunderbolt to catch a prey. Just like that, if you are comparing the eagle to the king, if he gets angry, he can come down and strike at someone, his subjects maybe, and deal a great uh, damage, okay, destruction. He can do great damage to his subjects. Secondly, right. Secondly, if the king falls from power, now he is a king, he is ruling his kingdom. But if he falls, if he is captured, okay, if his land is conquered, it can be violent and quick. Very quickly, he may lose his kingdom. So that is a king's life. Even though they are powerful, at any time they may fall. And when they fall, it will be a very quick process. And importantly, it also shows that whatever high elevated position you may be in life, even you, even me, whoever it may be, okay, whatever high elevated position you may be in life, sometimes you got to come down for survival. Okay, the bird went down to catch a prey so that it can eat and quench its hunger. Similarly, however higher position you guys may be, or me, anyone, even a king, they one time or another they got to come down for their survival, even if it were a king or an eagle. Right. So that's the analysis. You can always pause the video or audio if I'm going too fast. I hope I'm not going too fast. So you can always rewind and watch again and again until you thoroughly understand the analysis, the poem. So that's the analysis. Now the theme of the poem. By now you would have guessed it, right? Anyway, I'm going to read out the theme. I may give it in the description if this is uploaded in YouTube. Right. In the poem, just listen to me. You can pause and write it down. In the poem, the eagle. Sorry. In the poem, the image of the eagle has been portrayed as a symbol of power. It also conveys the message of freedom to dominate in its citadel. The poet takes the eagle to describe the qualities of authoritative men. Okay, this may be the figurative language, the deeper meaning. Right. To describe the qualities of authoritative men who can be parallel to the bird. It's not a mere description of an eagle, but the message can be applied to the human nature. So that's about it. The analysis of the poem The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Right, if you have any questions, you can drop in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, you can hit the like button and also hit the notification button so that you will be notified whenever I upload a video on literature, on analysis of poems. Even I may do short stories, novel, also the drama. The complete analysis I will uh, I will try to do it. Thanks.